Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. In the previous lectures, we discussed on the introduction and background of Islamic economic system. Today, our topic is the principle of Islamic economics. The principle of flexible ownership in Islamic law, which permit three types of ownership, in which man can participate or make its income and earning. The very first, the individual ownership, in which man has the ownership by way of proprietor or partner, with the responsibility of profit and loss at the will of Almighty Allah and human effort in volume, and which have to be accepted as the outcome of workmanship. The state has the ownership right that runs under the effective control which governs in the best interest of the nation for better state affairs, to fulfill the responsibility towards the welfare of the citizen. The third one is the public ownership, which is owned by the citizen of the state and is structured and achieved by way of participation of equity well as human resource. Islamic law prohibit all such social and economic activities that differ from the teaching of Islam and principle and values approved by Islam. Such social and economic activities fall under the category of riba. Islamic economic defines the principle of which the rulers sworn in for the supervision of general activities, intervene in any anti-Islamic economic activities. Islamic economics guides the state to protect the safeguard public interests through the control on individual freedom in the illegal and non-permitted actions they involve, due to which the economic activity of the community and society suffers. Men have no right to possess unlimited wealth and desire to obtain wealth by any means and any way he may choose. Right is given to every member of the society by appointing each one as the guardian of the public trust, and the ownership is limited for the public welfare and for the betterment of mankind. Islamic economic emphasizes on social justice. Every individual living in the community and enjoy the right granted by Almighty Allah. And the state must be very clear in day-to-day affairs of sharing the responsibility in excess of self and the family. One must understand the responsibility towards the community. Upgradation and participation in the social development program leads to a better society. It is the fact that Almighty Allah created man and woman with a task to share the responsibility by man, for which woman is given a duty to develop healthy and law-abiding citizen, and man is responsible to keep women dutiable with freedom of choice in maintaining the man's life in the best interest of the family and the community. Prohibit growth in differences, that few live in extra luxury and rest were deprived of basic necessities of life, and forced to live a life in misery, hunger, without shelter, illness, and as a neglected class of the society. The monotheism in Arabic is related to Tawheed, which is the single most important concept in Islam, which means absolute oneness of Almighty Allah. It is the prime acceptance of every Muslim and cannot be compromised with any logic or argument. With only worship and devotion toward the acceptance, it can be taken in three dimensions: the oneness of Allah as Almighty and the sole owner of every human life and the universe. Absolute devotion of human worship to only one which is Almighty Allah, who is all merciful. Allah is singular in power, title, and absolute. Allah is singular in power, title, and attribute. Ijtihad emphasizes on independent legal judgment efforts and ability to figure out rules and sources that carry out social justice in accordance with the Islamic economic. Economic and social problem can be solved only through ijtihad, particularly issue in regards to which one definite injunction is available in the Quran and Sunnah. When we talk about ethic is the third element for the enforcement of social justice. Islamic economics consider ethic in relation to human lifestyle or religion. Islamic Sharia defines social justice in Islamic economics as a pillar of the concept that function with a valid reasons. The concept of zakat has a high ethical value that insists stressed on the provision of riba's practices in daily life of Islamic society and brings stability, peace, harmony, and social development. Ethical practice in monetary transaction gives the real value of money. Ethics define the state responsibilities for income distribution as the basic principle of social justice. Zakat is taken as a pillar of Islam. And zakat is a third pillar of Islam, which is the binding force for wealth to be contributed and distributed by owner to the needy of the Islamic society. Zakat is regarded as one of the most important elements in establishing social justice. Zakat is not a tax or a fee. The Holy Quran directs the contribution of Muslim members as the religious duty with an act of worship as zakat. The importance of zakat can be judged by the fact that it has been included among the pillars of Islam. Ijtihad with regard to consideration of time and place determines zakat amount in such a period. Zakat is a source to develop human resource, and receiver of the zakat assistance enables to the zakat payer if the intentions of contributor and receiver are make the needy as productive part of the society. Interest makes man richest, and zakat develop poor, productive, able, and capable and contributor of zakat. The Holy Quran used the word riba for a bad earning and using unfair method in business practices to increase the wealth and to hold it for a purpose of taking benefit to the weakness of individual, group, or a community. During the research, the findings have developed a new concept that does not justify the interest on the basis of other classification of riba, but return on investment on the basis of risk, understanding, and acceptance in trust justify and accepted in Islam. The Holy Quran clearly directed the prohibition and practices of riba, and not the interest alone. With this finding, it is evident that interest is the class of riba and ascertained when it combines with other classification of riba like cruelty, exploitation, selfishness, unkindness, indeclaration, or non-committal. Interest or nasiya is prohibited in Islam, and people are not allowed to make money by lending their capital on interest. It is therefore feasible to invest the capital in productive manner and thereby increases the profit. Buying and selling of money in shape of lending and borrowing is restricted in the Islamic economic system, as the system stress on the service of the money for the purpose. Money to be in the hand of only those who can use it for the better circulation instead of keeping static and whole for self-protection. Interest is return, price, or rent on the principal amount as excess and taken and given a guaranteed return of principal and excess prior to the execution of transaction. by combining the categories of riba consist of lust, temptation, exploitation, humiliation, cruelty, and non-transparency. In short, interest is shirk, which is encroachment in the jurisdiction of Almighty Allah. As any guarantee or any form or type that speculate or confirmation to the success is beyond the power of man, and only Almighty Allah be taken in trust. Honesty, transparency, and justice at all stages of life are stressed in Quran, which says, "And give full measure and weight with justice." Surah Anam 6:152. These instructions are not applied on individual only, but also relates to the social responsibility, not be limited to a predictable weight and measure, and take in all measure of volume. It is also being considered as obligatory for the Islamic State to weigh out the healthy money with fiscal policies and appropriate control to minimize decomposition in the real value of money. In Islamic economics, it is clearly defined that money cannot be a commodity and commodity cannot be a capital. For every transaction, the money remained as an intermediate between the man and the commodity, and without man's effort, money cannot function. The effort of man depends on the wages that cannot be in the form of commodity, and money is to be measuring tool. The real value of money lies in the real effort of the man to acquire the commodity and the services that man provide, ultimately against the wages. Generally, in conventional system, saving means the portion of income set aside for later consumption. However, the Islamic economic system and its teaching prohibit us from much spending in order to save ourselves and our descendants from destitute. To be a little bit more expressive, it must be mentioned that Islam advises human beings to leave at least 2/3 of their wealth to the descendants in order to save them from begging, and should be distributed among them as per inheritance law described in Islam. This also actually signifies the concept of saving. No doubt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a principal owner of whatever wealth has bestowed upon us, strictly guide us to consume whatever is necessary for us to live, and restrain us from unnecessary spending too. A question arises, what should we do with excess of our need? The answer is very clear. Any excess to the need must be either saved, invested, or given as zakat, sadaqat, and donation for a right cause to enforce means of distribution of wealth.